What would happen if you combined an indie platformer with an arcade skater? A game where maybe instead of a skate or surfboard, you rode on a floating sword. Sword of the Sea from developers Giant Squid answers these questions well. A compact and incredibly pretty indie game where the platforming and story are the focus, but skating is the attraction. If you are familiar with the creator's previous works Abzu and The Pathless, you can see the clear link between titles. But is Sword of the Sea unique enough to stand out on its own merits? What's up? How's it going, people? Welcome to Casual Gamer Reviews. If you want to support the channel, please consider leaving a like and subscribe, or if you don't like it, then leave a thumbs down and let me know how I can be better for you. Sword of the Sea took me approximately 4 hours to complete, and then a further 5 hours to get the platinum. Reviewed on PlayStation 5. This game almost entirely takes place on your floating weapon, appropriately named the Hover Sword. At the start, the only skills you have available are a jump and a double jump, but as the game progresses, you can buy further abilities from the merchant like grab tricks, spin tricks, charge jump, and a drop, which is effectively the same motion as dropping in on a half pipe. Not only do each and every one of these tricks feel satisfying to pull off, but they also look the part. Each animation assigned to the relevant trick looks correct, but also adds the flair that combines with this art style to make you feel incredibly elated. You don't just glide to your next destination, you will constantly be popping an ollie and trying to land some grabs and spin tricks. It's such a treat to traverse this world. The movement is easy to grasp and very intuitive. Each terrain feels a little different too, and playing on PS5 you can feel the tug of the gravel or the slickness of a waterway when you glide over them through the controller. The DualSense offers some truly incredible sound and haptic feedback which accompanies all the terrains, and I was very impressed each time I could feel the vibrations of rubble on a dirt track or hear the whooshing of water as I rode some waves. Sword of the Sea is split into 8 brief chapters where you are tasked with small platforming sections and some light puzzle work before progressing on. When I say light puzzle work, I really do mean it. None of these will confuse you or halt you in your tracks. They are mostly framed like get from point A to B whilst doing a little platforming, or find X amount of lights to ignite. The puzzles only exist to break the gameplay up a bit, but they aren't obstructive or feel out of place, so I didn't mind the lack of challenge, but sometimes I did hope for a little bit more. The real star of the show is the platforming combined with the skate tricks. Yes, I may just need to take this water orb from one end of the room to the other, but the way I get there can be via a wall slide, a kickflip, a nose grab, or a vert spin, maybe even all of the above in one transition. It really is a playground for you to express yourself. The platforming is open and really makes use of the 3D space. You have many ways to go vertically, whether it be jumping on jellyfish or riding a current up some seaweed. In the horizontal space, you have a lot of grind rails available to use, walls to ride on, as well as waterways which can speed you up. Just like the puzzle elements, the platforming never feels difficult, but it always feels fun. If you play the game into New Game Plus, you unlock both a speedometer and trick scores which will appear on your HUD. Having that trick score visible does make it feel like a classic arcade skater akin to a Tony Hawk title. There are a couple of chapters that handle a little differently to the usual gameplay. There is a level where you ride on the back of a dolphin and another level where you ride on the back of a shark. When on the dolphin, you cover distance much faster and can leap into the air at a great height. When on the shark, you can also move faster, but additionally you can leap forwards with a devastating crushing blow to break any object in front of you. Those two levels are designed differently from the rest as there is no platforming involved due to the speed and size of the creatures, but they do give some appreciated variation to the feel of the game. Zipping and leaping about the place trying to light some lanterns or crush some crystals isn't very complex, but it is enjoyable nonetheless. I think this is because it feels so smooth, and accompanied with the music and visuals, it is quite relaxing. There is a chapter later in the game where you gain the ability called Water Rail, which allows you to create your own temporary grind rail by triple jumping, which opens up a world of platforming and trick-based side effects. Then, to conclude, is the final chapter, which is a 3-stage boss fight. This fight took me by surprise as I wasn't expecting it, but it was without a doubt the best thing this game offered. That That final chapter was awesome. Even though you are riding on a sword, you don't fight with traditional combat. This boss is entirely a platforming challenge where you can build up a range attack to be offloaded when fully charged. It was a beautiful blend of platforming and tricks that culminates your experience of the journey as a whole. It has to be experienced firsthand. It was an epic finale to an already fantastic game. The thing you will notice instantly when booting up Sword of the Sea are the striking visuals. The artist behind Abzu, The Pathless, and Journey is responsible for this. It's beautifully colourful and breathtaking at times as you surf across the vast sand dunes or grind along the icy rails of a frozen tundra. There is a level later in the game that I would describe as an underground galaxy. Think the Shifa River world from Elden Ring. This game is focused on water, as you can probably imagine from the title, and it is really impressive to see that represented in the environmental design too. Even when not on water, the ground will shift and ripple, representing water and waves. Whether you are on sand or snow, it will always feel like you are riding the currents. Each level involves you bringing the water and life back to each biome. When this occurs, the world around you gets filled with fish, plants, and other aquatic life, which gives such a gorgeous contrast to the scene. This does happen a lot, but it never once failed to impress. In some instances, you can even ride on the back of certain sea creatures where you can take a slow, relaxing journey enjoying the views. As for the performance, I didn't notice any stutters or frame dips on PS5, so I would guess it was running at a smooth 60 or near about. The music in Sword of the Sea is composed by award-winning Austin Wintory, mostly known for his work on Journey, but he also composed this studio's previous games Abzu and The Pathless. Austin's work on Sword of the Sea is very typical of his usual sounds. That is to say, they are very ethereal tracks that transport you on your own journey through the various melodies. They are very calming and purposeful melodies that explore a wide range of instruments stemming from a piano bass and expanding across various percussion and wind instruments. It makes this peaceful atmosphere that blends perfectly with the visuals to relax you. I am a big fan of Austin's work, and it's easy to see why he has many awards and nominations. The sound of the game, as I explained earlier, has a very high quality bar. It changes depending on the terrain you are on, and the feedback through the DualSense doubles up on that quality. This helps immerse you in this world, as it really does sound like you are gliding across sand dunes or skating on ice or surfing on waves. I can think of few games where I have felt such an immersive synergy between the audio and visuals. There is no dialogue in Sword of the Sea, but you can follow its story through the actions of the beautifully crafted characters and settings. You play as a wraith, a non-human entity awoken by a drip of water sent on a quest to bring the life back to the dried out, desolate world. Starting first in the desert and moving through the biomes, bringing the precious water with you bit by bit, you will bring back the much needed virtue of nature. Along your adventure, you find another traveler who you team up with to create a magical partnership that helps the world flourish. At the end, you find the source of the barren wastelands, and as I mentioned at the top, it results in a grand spectacle to finish the game through an epic boss fight. The story certainly has undertones of environmental destruction and the beauty of nurturing the land, albeit very short. This game does not need to be any longer for what it is though, and with a 3 to 4 hour runtime, I think it works perfectly. It is short and sweet, but more than satisfactory. It is a game that feels like a warm light and leaves you happier than when you started. What more could you ask for? There is actually a fair amount of side content in this game, more so than I was expecting for such a small title. The main side activity would be the trick attack areas. There are 4 of these across the game, and they serve as a challenge room where you have to beat a high score by performing tricks. These rooms are kitted out no different from any arcade skater you can think of. There are kicker ramps, quarter pipes, half pipes, things to bounce on, rails to grind, platforms to wall ride, and each room seems to get more and more expansive as the game goes on. These were super fun to complete, but my only gripe with it would be that the high score isn't set high enough. I found I could beat it first time pretty comfortably, even with a shoddy run due to not knowing the area well. I would have preferred if it was more challenging and made you experiment building your way up to a peak run. Either way, I'm happy that these areas existed at all, as it really fleshes out this game's trick mechanics. Outside of the trick rooms, Sword of the Sea also has collectibles in the form of secret shells, chests for money, and hidden optional water areas on each level. Collecting all of these does give an extremely useful bonus reward, so I would advise it. The game also sports a new game plus mode, as I mentioned earlier, with the speedometer motor and visible trick score to make going back and collecting these collectibles more fun, not to mention the trophy for speedrunning the game in less than 2 hours. If that's your kind of thing, it definitely is mine. Lastly, there are several steelies hidden about the place which give brief story tidbits. It won't make too much sense to begin with, but after finishing the game for the first time, if you go back and read them, it gives some background context that explains your mission and some of the characters, which is always a nice touch. Sword of the Sea is a game that has beautiful visuals and audio to match. I would go as far as saying it is a masterclass in visual audio synergy that feels so powerfully impressive. It's fun gameplay gently blends an arcade-style skater with a puzzle platformer, the former of which it does much better. The side content is fulfilling and the story is simple but captivating. I do wish it had a bit more to give with its puzzles and a bit more challenge in its trick rooms, but ultimately this is a budget indie title that I would wholeheartedly recommend. Sword of the Sea gets a casual gamer score of 9 out of 10. Check out the channel for more reviews like Ninja Gaiden Ragebound, or why not check out my quick look for Mina the Hollower. September is packed full of game releases, so if you want to know where to start with that, I also have a video for the biggest titles to come in the whole month. If you enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a like and subscribe, or if you didn't like it, then leave a thumbs down and I'll try to be better next time. Let me know in the comments below if you'll be checking out Sword of the Sea, and for everything else casual gamer, keep it here. Peace and love.